One of the things, as Owen just kind of was also related to, is the squash species. You have basically four main cucurbit and Peppo, Maxima, Moschata, and Mixta. And one way you can get multiple squashes that you can save is to just grow one out of each of those categories. And that, again, actually, do you want to do your squash? We brought a squash, basically just open the mature fruit, scoop out the seeds, clean them by washing them off, dry.
I brought these two because, believe it or not, they're the same species, right? And maybe in the back it's going to be hard for me to do this, but so this is one. And it's not the biggest one that I grew. This speak of
What's
variety.
that called?
This one's Lunga di Napoli. It's a town from Naples, long squash of Naples, Italy, and this is a recent open pollinated creation from I think Cornell, the honey nut. It's like a butternut that's even sweeter. It's so delicious. They have to be small. So they're the same. They're both cucurbita and moschata. So I would never personally grow them in the same field or within half a mile of each other because I really like both of them a lot, and I don't. It'd be interesting to see what happens between these two. But I just have no idea, and I like them as they are. So, yeah, just really quick, and this could be like our wet seed thing, and I happen to know where the seeds are in this squash. I mean, usually they're in the butt here, so I don't need to like cut it a long way like I would a cucumber. I'll just cut it. I don't know if I can get this knife.
There's a saw and a mallet.
It's a very soft,
It's
a very
actually,
soft
yeah,
squash.
it's pretty soft.
Yeah. So Cucurbita moschata is the butternut species, and it's really, maybe you know this, but it's the best species that I've grown in terms of resisting a lot of pests. The squash borer can't really bore into the stem, and it got all my other ones. This one's Lunga di Napoli, but in general, the Cucurbita moschata species, which is butternuts, the honey nuts, what else is in there? Oh, the cushaw, no, that's mixed up. The Jamaican pumpkins, what they call a pumpkin in Jamaica is usually the species.
And can you say the name of the species one more time?
Moschata.
Oh, it's up there.
Oh,
Yeah, I
where it
actually
went.
It's Moschata, Moschata.
Moschata, yes.
When did you harvest this?
I harvested this must have been around September. And so, I
You
mean,
want to
that's
get them
the,
before a freeze comes.
I get them when the stem dries out, when it's basically no longer pulling anything from its plant. And what's amazing about winter squashes is just that it's like the climate change ready, or it really is awesome because you don't have to refrigerate it, you don't have to can it, you don't have to dry it, and it just sits there in my house until I'm ready to eat it. And so, if people want to take home some of this is reserved for my mom. But you can cut chunks off of it. And basically what I'll do is I'll pull out, just like if you were cooking a squash, you pull out the seeds, you clean them in whatever in a strainer. If you were going to roast your squash or pumpkin seeds, you treat it the same way except you don't roast it. So you're just going to lay them out in a thin layer, like I said, on a paper bag, and let it dry for a few weeks, because you want to let seeds dry until they feel dry and then let them dry some more, so that in storage there's no chance of them rotting. So unlike the tomato, I'm not going to ferment this, but otherwise it's a similar process. Some people do ferment squash seeds, but I don't.
And then I'm going to address garlic real quick. How many of you save garlic strains? Good number of you. So garlic, that's what got me into saving. And for the garlic, I picked the most perfect, the biggest heads, most perfect shape, representative of what I'm looking for. Carpathian, typically 8 to 10 cloves per, and I choose a nice uniform shape. I select against teardrop shapes. I select, and then out of this, say it has, looks like 8 or 9 cloves in it. I select the biggest cloves out of the most perfect heads. I discard the smaller cloves, and then I select against twins. You want to look at the basal plate, which just means the bottom of that clove as you break it apart. And if you see you can see at the basal plate an indentation where you can see it's going to twin. This variety is prone to twinning, and for market, I don't want twins because they would grow fine for the home gardener, but for me, I need a nice, perfect-looking head for market. So I select against the twins, and I put the rejects in a 5-gallon pail, and I sell the closed 5-gallon pails to the restaurant. So nothing goes to waste, or else I would dehydrate and grind it to a garlic powder.